So today we're going to be going over a mid fade with a drop in the back. For now, I'm going to spin my client around the chair so that way we can get a full look of the canvas before we start our process into this fade. First thing first, in any fading process or any project that we do when it comes down to cutting hair, we want to make sure that we comb and lay down the hair with the brush. So you're going to comb and then you're going to brush, you're going to comb and then you're going to brush. And this is just to make sure that the hair lays as close to the scalp as possible so it can end up giving you nice clean transitions throughout the fade. And you can just learn the way and the direction that the hair is falling. Secondly, we're going to implement our bald guideline. And as I said previously, we're going to drop this guideline in the back so that way it can add extra definition into the rest of the fade when the fade completely comes together. You want to make sure that this bald guideline is going to be a nice clean guideline, as it does set the tone for the rest of the cut. So here I'm going in with my Fabulous Black FX clippers. They're zero gapped, and I'm going to have them all the way open as I go up 1 inch from that zero bottom guideline that I made with my liners. And we're going to make sure that every stroke makes it all even. It usually takes about 3 strokes to take off a piece of hair. However, like I said before, you have to make sure that you're brushing and laying down this hair, because if you don't, the hair will stick or try to shaft other places to make the cut look a little uneven than it really is. So now we're going to close up our lever halfway, and we're going to go about 3/4 of an inch up from that bottom guideline again, just so we can start attacking that 1 inch vertical that we made, and we can start making this fade more so blurry, especially at the bottom. With that said, you do see me open and close the lever quite frequently throughout this transition, and you're going to be seeing me do that because what we call that here is called lever play. And I'm just going to play with the lever to make sure that it all kind of looks faded and equaled out as close as possible without the liners attacking that bottom line, because that's just not going to come out. Whatever you put the line in with is what you got to take the line out with. So it's not going to come out completely, but it will soften up that line to make it look as good as possible. Now I'm going to take my 1 guard and I'm going to go up another inch into the fade. And we're going to basically do the same thing with the 1 guard that we did with the no guard open. We're going to make sure that all of that's even throughout. Brush down the hair, comb down the hair, make sure that the hair is even throughout the whole transition, so that way we can start playing underneath the hair. So next you're going to see me grab my 1.5 guard, and the reason why I like to use the 1.5 guard into the parietal ridge and into the bulk is because that is the guard that keeps the hair as low as possible but as dark as possible as well. So with that, you're going to see me start going into it, try to cut into the bulk. I'm going to use my left hand to guide, and I'm going to make sure that I don't stretch the hair with my left hand, but I use the left hand enough to make sure that I can see where I'm going to cut and make sure that I'm cutting enough off. Occasionally I will flip the clipper upside down, so that way I can make sure that I can get any of that bulk that I probably wasn't able to get without stretching the hair too much. I want to say shout out to Nic Porter for real for producing this beat for me. I asked him for an Aaliyah sample. He went straight to the vault in less than a second and pulled this out, this 4-page letter. And it's just dope. Like, this is all around just great talent. I appreciate him a lot, man. I'm going to have his link, his bio, and his Instagram inside my bio as well, inside the description below. So make sure y'all check him out. I know this line has probably been killing some of the experienced barbers, but we're gonna go ahead and grab that 0.5 guard. We're gonna slap it on, and we're just gonna go, and we're gonna go evenly about 3/4 from that, from right underneath that bar, a little into that 1 guard. And we're just gonna make sure that we can clean it up as much as possible. Right now I do have my 0.5 clipper closed, so I'm going up into that. And the objective here, I don't plan to necessarily get this line out with my 0.5 guard. I like to go back in and detail where that 0.5 and that 1 transpired, so I can go ahead and make it more so like a rough, a gritty, more so like transition within the fade. Here I'm going to go ahead and grab my 1 guard, and I'm going to come down with my 1 guard right underneath that 1.5, so I can make sure that I go in and I soften up any dark spots that may be inside the fade before I decide to go ahead and detail the fade. Yo, if you guys made it this far in the video, I appreciate y'all so much, man. Thank you for real. So now we're about to go ahead and we're about to start detailing this work. And you're gonna see first, I'm allowed to go into this fade a little bit more with this clipper compared to the black clippers, because on this blade I have a taper blade, on the other blade is a fade blade. So that blade was a lot shorter and a lot more compact, and it basically gets into the fade a lot closer than how this one does. So this one gives us a little bit more room so we can detail work with this blade. So now you see I'm going to start using the corner of my blade, and when we say the corner of the blade, I mean the last 3 teeth to the last like 2 teeth of the blade is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep angling that, and I'm going to keep playing with it until I feel like the fade looks as close as possible, or it looks as good as possible. And then I'm going to turn my clipper upside down once in a while, and I will comb or rake down with the clipper just so I can go ahead and basically it's just going to teethen up. It's going to work like texturizing shears within the fade. So you're just going to watch me do a lot of that right now. I'm just going to do a lot of detail work, and I'm basically doing this detail work to get as close to perfection as possible. I personally feel like my balding process is pretty simple. So first I'm gonna take my liners and I'm gonna go down against the grain with my liners, and then I'm gonna get my box shaver, and I'm not gonna go too low with the box shaver. You're gonna see that I'm gonna only go up until where I put that second line at with my liners, just so I can make sure that he doesn't bump up at all. With a lot of my African American clients, or really with all African American clients, if you go too low with box shavers, it can make them bump out. I particularly don't, but I know a lot of other African American clients do. So you just want to make sure that you're being as keen to their hair as possible, and you just want to make sure you don't break anybody out or cause any uncomfortability or discomfort with your client. So after I use the box shaver, I'm going to turn my liners upside down one more time, and I'm going to go up into the fade with my liners. So I'm meeting where that original bald guideline was with the white liner that I put in. And like I said, guys, I'm just being a perfectionist as much as possible. I was probably going in and seeing a couple more dark spots that was probably irritating me a little bit. So I'm going to go in and just touch up any dark spots that I see. And I do this quite frequently throughout my phase, so it's just a part of the game. I'm about to grab my white liners here, and you can't see it in the video as much, but in person there was like the little slight line from what we did in the beginning of the video when I implemented my bald guideline. And I'm just touching, or a little tapping rather, at that bald guideline so I can make sure that it's not there at all, so it just looks like a very clean fade all the way around. We're gonna jump right over into this lineup here. So just as before, with everything that you do, you're gonna have to brush and prep your lineup. You're gonna brush, you're gonna comb it, just so you can make sure that the hair lays down so you can give him a nice clean lineup. And I do want to apologize with the angle with this lineup. It is gonna be like, I'm gonna be in the way quite a bit. But regardless, here we go. You're gonna see me tap the middle of the forehead with the liners. I'm gonna tap in the middle of the lineup, and I'm gonna keep going over, and I'm gonna tap. You're never gonna see me really do any like drawing motion. I'm really one of the tap and go type of liners, like barbers rather. Here I'm blocking, but when I use the corner of my blade, I use the corner of my blade more so towards the edge where the vertical and the horizontal of the lineup meet together. That's when I use the corner of my blade the most throughout the lineup. I don't like to use the corner of the blade throughout the middle of the lineup because you want to make sure that you get all of that evenly. So you'll be able to see it more so on the other side of the lineup than on this side, because I just happen to be in the way too much. And we're just going to go ahead and do the same thing to the right side of the head now. Now, when it comes to the enhancements of the cut, you want to make sure that you keep the enhancements as natural as possible. You're going to see I'm going to use my spray gun here first. I'm going to start in the middle the same way how I do my lineups, and then I'm going to go over to the left, and I'm going to trace back into the original spot where I started it. I'm going to use the corner. Make sure that you always keep a card as well so you can block any of the extra fluids that may be jumping out and spitting out. You don't want to get it all over the forehead. So I'm going to do it the same way how I did it on the left side to the right side. This is a better angle for you here. Better angle. And it's just so it can add a little bit of color into the lineup. Now, the only reason why we use topic is so we can make sure that the topic actually fills in and makes that tint that we put on his lineup look more natural. So you're gonna see I'm gonna do 2 pumps throughout the lineup, and if I ever do put too heavy of a pump on, I try to like wipe it off with my finger or like with a brush or anything like that. Sometimes the brush kind of can mess up the whole outlook of it like right away if you don't let it dry. So I use my finger in this video, I believe, but you're gonna just go ahead and do 2 pumps to each part. Yep, see that's too much right there. Wipe it off with my finger a little bit, and I'm just gonna keep carrying. I'm just gonna go right back over it again. At the end, after I razor blade up the client, I go ahead and grab my got-to-be glue so I can make sure that I'm locking in all those fibers, so that way they don't try to move anywhere whenever he sleeps, or if he doesn't wear a do-rag or a bonnet, or however our clients like to make sure that they keep their hair safe and protected at night. Oh man, I appreciate you guys for making it this way, yo. Like, for real, for real. This is the cut. I'm just putting in a little bit of styling gel in his hair right now, so I make sure it can keep the curls for the girls. But this is the cut. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I'll be back with more. Thank you.